Hello, I'm Chris Rodder, and this is a presentation on the Phillips curve. On the vertical axis, we have wage inflation. You might see that some texts just write inflation. On the horizontal axis, we have unemployment. Let's imagine then that we start at 5% unemployment and 0% inflation. 5% is a little on the high side. William Beveridge in the 1940s thought that full employment should be around 3%, although this was a fairly arbitrary rate. Nevertheless, most governments would be happy with a 3% rate. Now we draw in the Phillips curve. This shows the inverse and non-linear trade-off between unemployment and inflation. If the government was of a Keynesian frame of mind, they would want to reduce this rate from 5% to 3% by using discretionary fiscal policy. That is, reducing taxation, increasing government expenditure, or both. By boosting aggregate demand, jobs are created and unemployment falls. We move up along the Phillips curve, but see that we now gain this at the expense of 2% inflation. Milton Friedman and Edmund Phelps thought the workers would suffer from money illusion and temporarily be fooled, but in the long run they'd adapt their expectations. After a while they would factor in the 2% inflation and demand higher wages, withdrawing their labour until they got it, so unemployment would then return to its old level of 5%. The trade-off between inflation and unemployment would still exist, but at a new baseline of 2% inflation, so we get a new Phillips curve that is upward and to the right of the old one. If the government again responds by raising government expenditure, they would again get unemployment down to 3%. However, we now move up the new Phillips curve and the reduction in unemployment is paid for with 6% inflation. Notice inflation has accelerated. Previously we gained the reduction in unemployment with 2% inflation, but now at 6% the rate has not only increased, but by more than 2%. Again, workers have been fooled by money illusion, but then once again they adapt their expectations, withdrawing labour so unemployment reaches 5% and demanding higher wages. Friedman and Phelps are suggesting that whilst Keynesian demand management can reduce unemployment temporarily, this comes at the expense of not inflation, but accelerating inflation. Ultimately, unemployment falls back to its original rate, which they call the non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment, or NAIRU. The result is a long-run Phillips curve which is vertical, or what we call the expectations augmented Phillips curve. Friedman and Phelps aren't saying that there's nothing we can do about unemployment, merely that demand-side policies won't work. If we want to reduce unemployment, we need to move the long-run Phillips curve to the left, with supply-side policies. But that's another topic.